Thank you for all of you who have really been very dutiful and have remained right until the end. We really appreciate it. We know that it's been a very intense few days. We will finish this session as soon as we can. Since we're in the conclusions, I'd like to just give you a few facts and figures about the conference, what you've lived through in numbers. So it was organised by 3 different departments within the government of Flanders, which worked in very close cooperation and collaboration to devise the stimulating programme that you all attended. The sessions and activities were also planned by 24 different partner organisations, and you can check them all out on the events website. There have been 651 different participants attending over the 3 days. On Monday, we had 62 speakers, and there was an interesting site visit to the innovative Transfarm. On Tuesday, there were 54 speakers and a visit to the bioincubator working on alternative protein and fat products. And today, we had a total of 56 speakers across all the sessions. In addition, there were the cultural visits. You were taken by electric bus. And there was a food market with plenty of opportunities to also network between yourselves. Also, I don't know if you noticed in the catering, there were vegetarian and vegan options, and all the food waste was given to local shelters. So you can see that the conference was also walking the walk and doing the talk as well. So that was very good. And can you believe how much we've packed in? I want to find out what you what impressions you've been left with. So we're going to have a poll, which means a bit of interactivity for this final session. Please get your mobile devices out. We're going to go by a Slido. That's our closing discussion. Those are our speakers. We'll look at those in a minute. They're already sitting here patiently. This is the Slido. You can just scan the QR code, or you can go to slido.com, and that is the code 2931800. And it's very easy. Hopefully our person who's doing the technical side has opened our poll for us. I haven't got my Slido with me, so. And the question is very simple. What will you be taking away from this conference? So give us a 1 or 2 word answer. And if anybody else puts something in that you like, you can also send it in again, and then we're going to build up a nice word cloud, and we're going to see what you take away. Can someone tell me, are you on Slido? Is the poll open? Yes? Okay, good, thank you. It's always good to check these things. So while you're going to vote, we're not going to look at the word cloud yet, because we're going to look at that later. I'm now going to go back, and we're now going to see our speakers who we have on the stage with me. Next to me, I have Patricia de Klerk, who is Administrator General of the Agency of Agriculture and Fisheries. At the end, we have Wouter Nachtegeiler. Wow. Wouter, wow. Who's head of division at the Flanders Chancellery and Foreign Office. And in the middle, we have Johan Hansens, who's Secretary General of the Department of Economy, Science and Innovation. So while you're working on your takeaways and you're answering the poll, we're going to hear what the takeaways are from the 3 departments. And we'll start with you, Patricia. From the agricultural side, what are you taking away? I'm sure plenty.
A lot, of course. Well, what we take away is, of course, that this was 3 days with open discussions where we had a lot of interaction between different stakeholders. And that is really what we need. We need all those different stakeholders, from governments to policymakers, but also, of course, all the stakeholders in the agro-food chain to talk to each other and to have discussions on the path forward. We have a lot of goals and ambitions that we share. Of course, we also need the pathways to those goals and ambitions, and of course the implementation phase. And it's in the implementation phase where, of course, we all need to meet again and work together to really work out the ambitions and the goals that we set out at the start.
Okay, thank you. That was nice and brief. Gosh, I wasn't expecting you to be quite as brief as that, but that's good. It means that we can all make sure that we get off on time. And so, what about you, Johan? What are you going to take away?
Yes, as coming from the Department of Economy, Science and Innovation, I'm very pleased that there was a lot of attention for research and innovation. And I think when we all look at the daily news, we can see and hear that our food systems are in a critical state. And the farmers' protests all over Europe, they echo this. And I think it's very important that we all policymakers and all the stakeholders, we take those concerns serious. And I think that discussions also highlighted that we need to bridge the gap between the Green Deal and the reality on the floor. Mm-hmm. And so I think we need some sort of a shift from top-down regulatory approach towards a more value chain approach in a co-creation way. And in that co-creation, I think the discussions also learned that we really need a systems approach and we need collaboration along the value chain. Secondly, we should all be aware that sustainability commitments in the agro-food sector are also a possibility to boost competitiveness, because they can lead to meeting consumer demands, to enhancing supply chain resilience, and to increasing resource efficiency. We also heard a lot about food processing, and in the processing, it can play a pivotal role in achieving sustainable, safe, healthy and affordable foods. And I think that we have to try to turn the perception that processed food is unhealthy. And I think that we have some work to do there to raise the awareness that if processed food is unhealthy, it's not because of the processing, but because of the ingredients. We also learned, I think, that more research is needed in the field of microbial and chemical foods safety. So that's a work program we have to do. From a policy side and a regulatory framework, I think it's important to work on the internalization of the external costs produced in the food system. And that's really important to change the market and to generate the necessary shift. On the financing topic, I think the key message there is that we need a lot of pilot schemes. You visited two of them during the conference. The Transform is an example. So public-private partnerships in that field and also connection of all those pilot infrastructures across Europe is really needed so that we don't duplicate very costly investments. On the topic on the food security and biodiversity, also, we are convinced that there are no opposites. By securing biodiversity, you can also secure food production, because climate and deteriorating soil quality are really threats to our food security and should be brought to a halt, and that can be through securing biodiversity. The session on food environments learned that food environments shape the way to consume our foods on a day-to-day basis, and they play an important part in the transition towards a sustainable food system. And I think it's very important that the healthy choice should be the most easiest choice. And then we need so clear instruments on how to distinguish healthy and non-healthy food. And there was also the session on personalized food, and there the role of the human microbiome is really key. And this conference learned us again that we need to remove the barriers between the pillars of food and health, and more connect them. both in terms of policy and practice. So food, we have to see food as a sort of preventive medicine. Then two last conclusions is on the food losses. There I think it's really important that, in the how to change behavior of consumers, of our citizens, we need more insights, more research in how to tackle that problem from a more holistical point of view, from prevention to the waste management. And last point is regarding the science policy interferences. We heard some concrete suggestions on what is needed, more open communication, involvement of all stakeholders and citizens, more nuance in the debate, and more double backgrounds between policymakers and scientists and vice versa. So for us, these are some key takeaways of the messages of the conference.
Thank you very much. Wouter, from let's say the Foreign Office point of view.
Thank you. And I try not to duplicate what has been said already, because that would annoy everyone. And I will certainly look from Foreign Office or Foreign Affairs kind of approach or kind of view on what could be the takeaways, or what are my takeaways from this conference. Johan went into the different sessions that were there, and really touched upon the different sessions. I take it one step back, and I'll go more on the processes. First takeaway is these are very general things, and I think everyone will agree, but still in the implementation, these are very difficult things to do. First one is silo thinking is between sectors and between countries is out of the question. I think everyone agrees here that whatever we do in transforming food systems, we have to do it together, all different departments, and here are already 3 of them. But it's all about collaboration between regions, between countries, international partnerships, European frameworks, and so on. They will be part of the solution there. Second one, I think you always have to strike balances or strike the balance, but this one is a difficult and delicate balance between cooperation. That's what I would say is more international trade discussions, and local and regional autonomy. In the last session, I was here just before this session, we had it about strategic autonomy. I think it's a difficult one. Coming from an export-prone region like Flanders is, we are actively pleading for open strategic autonomy. By doing this, we really want to engage with different partners all over the world in a most level play. In a way that it's a level playing field for all partners, but still in terms of food systems, I think thinking about more local and more green food system change or supply change might be interesting as well. Certainly there is, when you talk about strategic autonomy and so on, there is a clear climate bonus, certainly with food systems here. A topic that Johan already touched upon, I think every food system that you want to transform has to have transparency, participatory action, and accountability built in the system. Easy to say, much more difficult to do, but I understand that there were these examples of the whole school food approach that might be interesting in that regard. 2 more takeaways. The first one, from local to global. It will not surprise you, as being a representative of a regional government or administration, that I am actively pleading for local and regional policies, food system transition policies. That's important, but always we have to take into account that there's a world beyond, and that you have to take into account what's the the impact of your decisions on other countries, on other regions, on other countries, on other regions of countries within the world. So that's an important one. Last one I want to stress is focus on Africa. I think challenges for food systems are globally. Everyone is faced with it today. We think about droughts, floodings, water depletion, loss of biodiversity. It was already mentioned by the previous interventions. But I think in Africa, the challenges and both the challenges and the opportunities in this regard are more outspoken, or are very outspoken, and we have to focus on that. And from the work we do in Flanders with a country like Malawi, where that is a partner country in our development aid policies, and where we focus on food and food systems, we see how really a food system can be or thinking about a transition in the food system is so important for the development of the whole country. That's all I wanted to say there.
Okay, thank you. Before I've got one last question very quickly for all three of you, but I would like to have a look and see what the answers are of the takeaways of the audience. Oh no, not yet. Okay, right, we'll come back to them in a moment. I can see people frantically behind the scenes. So we will go on to our last question. Now, it's all very well to say, oh, what are your takeaways? But what are you actually going to do about them? And so, Johan, what are you actually going to do in your department? What actions are going to happen?
First of all, we will have a plea to continue to invest in research and innovation. So we all know that the budget constraints in the future will be tough, but I think investment in R&D is crucial. Secondly, it's also really important to support our industry and our SMEs. In Flanders, we are strong believers in a cluster policy, and we have Flanders Food. I don't know if still people are from Flanders Food in the room, but we will also try to continue the support of Flanders Food. Also, the importance of the valorization of scientific knowledge. We really have to go from the lab to the fab. And we also, during our Belgian presidency, we are working on council conclusions on valorization. So trying to get a framework to speed up the lab to the fab. And fourth element is further invest in evidence-based policies. I think there we have, as a science department, we also have to bridge the gap between the scientific world and the policy-making world, and also with the stakeholders. There's an area of fake news. I think the evidence-based policies are very important. And last point is we will really try to engage in the quadruple helix settings. So collaboration between governments, between industry, between scientists, and between the civil society, the citizens, the consumers. So and then we think when we take all these things together, we can bring the food system to a more sustainable path in a digital and a green area.
Thank you. Wouter?
Yes, I will look again from our foreign affairs approach and what we are doing now and what we try to even strengthen further. The first point I want to make is that we have made a choice in the past to really in our development aid policies on food to really include a part that is linked to the discussions, really high-level general discussions and strategic discussions in Rome in the FAO. At the same time, we are also focusing on a country like Malawi, as I introduced before. So we really want to do that double. We don't want to give a preference to one or the two lines. We really want those two elements to keep on going. We have in our department a multilateral section. However, as it comes to food security, we have taken we have done we have taken the option to include the person who is responsible for following up on the FAO discussions, to include them in the development aid team. That is a clear choice. It could be in the multilateral section, but still we do it in the development aid teams, where we want to really grow from those two axes of intervention at both levels, general, global, and local. Second, my department, and that will continue, we hope we don't have to, but we will, response to food-related emergencies like famine, natural disasters, and so on. We have a humanitarian aid program, but that is really last resort, of course. Third, my department, together with other departments sitting here next to me and many others in the government of Flanders, is actively involved in the Belgian and directly involved in the Belgian position taking on trade negotiations. So we really want to continue there. Again, we are a trade-prone region, so we really want to push the agenda forward on trade, but still we also want to work in or integrate sustainability, environmental friendliness, and social responsibility as criteria in those discussions. Fourth, I want to mention our collaboration we have with the Department of Environment, another department of the government of Flanders, where we have where we work together in the framework of a call for proposals on international climate financing. It's actually a yearly call for proposals for projects, and of course projects for projects outside Flanders, of course throughout in the world, and projects related to food system climate nexus are supported already in the last years, and will continue to be supported whenever we get responses on that. And finally, and that links to something Johan said in his first intervention, we also work together closely in Mozambique, that is on the food related health issues like pandemics and AMR, antimicrobial resistance, and that I think we will also continue to do with the National Health Institute in Mozambique and the Institute of Tropical Medicine in Antwerp. Thank you.
Gosh, that's a big long list of of actions. And Patricia, last but not least, obviously, well, yours may even be even longer, but we realize that you will keep it short.
Yes, of course, my big takeaway and to do is, of course, to put the farmer in the center of the systemic approach that we need for the future of the agri-food sector. Because it's very important to realize that the primary sector is, of course, the most regenerative sector you can imagine. So it's a big opportunity that we really need to take. But we need a new narrative for agriculture, I think. I think the narrative should be more a narrative of hope and perspective for the farming sector, but also a re-evaluation of agriculture and what the products can mean for the agri-food sector, but also we want to depolarize the debate. So I think in future we really need to work on that narrative. And of course, there are a lot of issues in this systemic approach, and one of the issues is, of course, where Wouter also alleged, is the liberalized economic system. It's a big issue, but also an opportunity for a lot of agricultural products. So we really need to help farmers deal with this liberalized economic system. We should help them share the risks that these systems bring with them, but also look at how costs can be put in the market, because a lot of costs are hidden, but also a lot of costs are also costs that stem from a society demand. So we need to look at all those elements and help farmers and farming businesses to act on these elements. Secondly, of course, the systemic approach is an approach that we need to take forward. In Flanders, we have our food strategy that was dealt with more than 30 stakeholders, and I hope this conference today and the last days was really something that we could take to the next level, to the European level, where we can also have those food strategy elements on that European level with all those different stakeholders involved. And as I said before, not only the ambition and the vision, but also the pathways to really have this ambition and vision realized, and of course also the implementation tools, because we will not be able to do it only with public money, but we will also need private money to really have this food strategy realized. And part of this food strategy is, of course, the protein strategy. We are very, very eager to see what the European Commission will put forward on the protein strategy. Of course, in Flanders, we also already have a protein strategy, so I'm very proud of that. And we hope that the European protein strategy is also a very balanced one, because we don't only talk about production, we also talk about consumption. We want also the food and the feed involved. And of course, not only looking at the vegetable solutions or even the solutions on the beef sector, but also on the innovation, where I think the colleagues from innovation could also really help on, for example, the very difficult word that Wouter also struggled with. So hopefully this is the basis for a very good future where we can all work together, because it's not only dependent on governments, not only dependent on farmers, not only dependent on agri-food processors. If we don't do it together, we will not realize the ambitions we set out to have.
Wonderful. I think we should give our 3 departments a big round of applause. Thank you. So now let's see what you are taking away from this conference. I'm going to stand up so I can see this a little bit better. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of them, but just a few of the big ones. So collaboration, which is actually chiming in, I think it's the very key thing that has come up all the time. Dietary shifts, we've had quite a number of sessions about that. Innovation, as you say, it's been great that we've had innovation and that has been touched throughout the conference. I'm just looking at some of the smaller ones here. True and fair prices. This has been something we've certainly discussed quite a lot. Very complex, but interesting, and it's good that you're taking that away, and it's something that you'll be starting to think about. Time to act. I think we all agree on that one. Inspiration. I'm glad to see that up there. I'm glad that you've got inspiration from the speakers, from the program, and from everything that has been covered here, and hopefully on also the people that you've met as well. And obviously, I think I'll finish on this one with the healthy and sustainable. I think that's something, it's an important goal that you are all, and we are all moving towards together. So I think this now, with that, this brings us to the final closing part. This conference will also be playing its part because it's going to be taking concrete steps. It's going to be publishing a summary paper, which is going to be widely distributed afterwards, including to yourselves, but way beyond that. And what's more, there's also going to be a summary that's going to be presented to the Agri-Fish Council, presided by Belgium, until June. Also, the photographs and the videos, you've been seeing our photographer throwing herself around in all kinds of areas, trying to get the best shots, that she will be sharing the photos on the conference website, as there will also be videos of some of the sessions. Not all the sessions we could record, but some of the main ones, the videos will be posted on the site as well. And some of the presentations will also be available on the site, the events website too. So rest assured, work on the future of healthy food for all within environmental limits and paying a fair price for farmers will be continuing from here. It's now time to bring the conference to a close. As usual, we do a few thank yous at the end. So I would just like to, first of all, thank the Belgian presidency for organizing this conference, thanking the 3 departments for working together and collaborating to put forward such a great program. Thanks to all the speakers and the session moderators. There were a number of sessions that I didn't moderate, but other people did very expertly, so thank you to them. To all the people who were taking all the notes during the sessions, which will be very valuable for the summary afterwards. Thanks to the technical staff who made all this happen. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to hear each other, and we wouldn't have been able to see all our presentations, so thank you very much indeed. Thanks to the venue and the catering staff. They kept us warm and comfortable and well fed. And of course, thanks to the event organizers. They did a fantastic job. So I think we should all give them all a big round of applause. But my last thanks is to you, the audience. Thank you for being so attentive, for attending all the sessions, and for taking part and asking so many important questions. Really, it would have been nothing without you. So let's finish with that. Good luck with your work, and I hope we manage to progress this in the future. Give yourselves a big round of applause.